Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome into the program. I hope that you're doing well and you are ready for today's show. Because today, we have, after much time, too much time, I will dare say, we have Calcopia. And if you haven't heard of Calcopia, maybe you heard of their predecessor, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, the website launch, and everything that has come along with it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very fun show, a nice mixture of current events with, some updates and some future seeing, as we also talk a little bit about CES 2026. So, with all that being said, I hope that everyone is ready for the holiday break. They got all their Christmas shopping done. They have had a nice Hanukkah. They've done all the things, and they are ready to just, relax with some Computer America and some Calcopia. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring on our... before, computeramerica.com. That's where we'll find everything, show notes, past shows, future shows, articles, video, all that and more. We'll have links to all of the stories that we talk about, links to our guest website, links to everything. So if you are busy or you don't want to keep up with it, computeramerica.com, and we'll have the show notes all fleshed out there for you for easy perusing. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead, bring on Nathan Evans, that's a familiar name, with Calcopia Productions, or Calcopia Press, Calcopia something or other. Hey, Nathan, welcome back.
What's up, Ben? And thank you very much for the new introduction. It's we're still market testing it. We'll let you know when we've decided on something that doesn't make us sound like a drug.
make you sound like something that we talked about before the show. Of all the things, obviously you launched Pop Zara. When was that? That was like 20. I want to say 26.
That was before that. We go way back. Yep. It was time though. I mean, Pop Zara was a wonderful activity. I'm still proud of it. It's still available. We're not going to take it down. Yeah. And literally, we've talked about this before, but the new website is not a replacement. Well, it is a replacement, but it's sort of like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. It's the foundation of what we needed to do. We could not do what we wanted to do within the old website, and so it needed to change. And it just didn't need to update. It needed to be sunset, so to speak. And going forward, it's been easy for us. And to be honest with you, I could talk about this all day, and I could teach a class on this. But I'll tell you right now, when you're running a very small business, a very, very small business, every penny has to count. And the number one killer of any new business is overspending. And you cannot spend money, you cannot invest resources if there's no audience. So what you have to do, in the words of the great musician Bono, sometimes you just need to dream it up all over again. And you need to say, well, what did I like about it, and what can I take forward? And sometimes,
it's such an opposite kind of industry to what we focus on, which is tech. That it's kind of like, hey, just get your spending out in front of you and grow, and we'll figure out an audience, we'll figure out a revenue stream later, and just if it ain't growing, it's dying. And that's such an opposite of a tech company. But no, when you try to build something sustainable, for what we do, what you do, you definitely want to kind of be more measured and make sure that what you're doing has good foundation, good bones, good structure, good internet, good, discoverability, good browsing, and then you just flesh it out and more.
Well, a lot of it also has to do with the fact you have to have just a fresh start. It's anyone who's ever moved into a new apartment knows the feeling of renewal. Like, wow, I have a new place. I can play. Where am I going to put the table? Where am I going to put this? And it rejuvenates you. And if you had $1 billion and you didn't have to concern yourself with such petty things, then maybe it would make sense to keep the old But sometimes when you're a small production and you're smaller, you need that renovation. You need that just forced renewal of things.
I immediately think back to some of the emails that I got when we removed some of our archives. Right now our archives are, I believe our YouTube goes back to like 2013, 2014, something like that. And then our audio archives go back about 600 episodes, which, some of the previous episodes are like 2 hours long. You've been around long enough, Nathan, to know what it used to be. And I still get emails that are like, hey, I'm trying to follow this interview that you did with this particular company that makes this particular product that I'm trying to hear more about. Where can I find this episode? And I'm like, I don't even have that on the hard drive sitting on my shelf in here. I apologize. And they are mad. But I have to make, and for anyone out there, and especially for the people who sent me those emails, I apologize profusely, but it's what, even Computer America had to do, is we had to kind of say, the interviews were nice, they were good, they were all on their own, but we have to move forward. And it happens.
To be just to be diplomatic about it, is that I think companies like Wikipedia and Google, archives and everything have trained people to think that the internet is forever. It's not.
Yeah.
Like your library is not forever. Like if you go to your library, if you have a library that hasn't converted into like all computers and video games, if you're lucky, they have a book section. If you're very lucky, they have an old book section. But every library has a point, and every website has a point. You can't continuously just store things forever. One, it's not that data is expensive. It's really not overall. It's just that when you store stuff, you have to maintain it. And at a certain point, if you only have $5 to spend, you can't spend $4.95 on maintaining, because it leaves you no money for upgrades. It leaves you no money for the future. So you have to make those conscientious decisions. You have to say what's working, what's not. And sometimes if you can afford it, if you're Walt Disney, you could put everything in the Disney Vault and remaster 4K and whatever, you have no problem. But if you're small rinky-dink places that don't have that, it's important for your survival that you triage your history, and you can do things. You can do things if you plan it out. But my advice to anybody looking to do this is understand that if you don't plot for the future, you have no past. And so be very careful what you do. Be very conscientious about what you do. But at the end of the day, you are in the business of making new things, and you cannot make new things if you are encumbered by the old things. And so it's okay. It's okay to cut things off. It's okay to let go. You ever see what was that movie? Goodness gracious, not Zootopia. Inside Out. What was the character? The old imaginary friend. He just fades away.
Yeah,
and everyone cries.
The only thing I remember is like bouncing and something like that. But
Anyway, move forward, aim for the future, straight. Yeah, exactly.
You have a wonderful new site. You can go there. We'll have, again, a link in the show notes. You can check out everything that you're doing, which, like you said, is not a straight replacement, but it is going to do a lot of the same things that PopZara did back in the day, with a little bit of extra originals. So
exactly, and there's plenty of backlinks and everything, because at the beginning there's a transition period where it's basically the same thing, and then you just improve it and say all the stuff you got. Can I tell you what I'm really proud about? Can I give you an example?
Go for
it. If you go to Calcopia right now, if you go to Calcopia, because people can see what you're doing, if you click on the game section, and you can look at all the game reviews we have, because people love games, you'll see that there is a review for a game called R-Type.
Or archive.
R-Type, sorry. R-Type Delta.
R-Type.
There it is. There. Yep. R-Type Delta HD.
R. Okay. R, the letter R, type Delta.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. You see it?
No. Got it right here.
Yeah. And you see that title?
Will bust your force balls. Yes.
Exactly. See, couldn't do that on PopZara, because we got a lot of self-imposed things. But we're now, I'm happy to say, we're now up to PG-13.
Whoa.
And like R, we can drop an F-bomb once in a while, but we couldn't really do that before, because what happens is you get so wrapped up in Google, and you get so wrapped up in iTunes, and you can't say this, you can't say that, because if you say this, then suddenly your podcast is rated M17 or whatever it is, and it just gets so tiring because it's so you've given away your creativity to these third-party companies.
That's honestly something that I'm seeing more and more on the internet, and I've read a couple of articles that it's true, it's not true, it's kind of a gray, blurry area. It's very annoying to someone who is not an 11-year-old that there's a new kind of internet speak, and it's, it's less about getting pwned, and it's less about this and, stupid words that you would get. And now it's more about censoring yourself to appease an algorithm to send your signal as far as it can,
because you don't want the robots to detect what you're saying, because it's not people doing it, it's algorithm. Like you said, it's algorithm. It's like
it's in the articles that I've read, and from what I heard, is like, in some ways it is the people, because they're assuming, because these are black boxes, you can't see in them, you assume, and you have like A/B testing. You have people that are anecdotally saying, I have this word in the title and it doesn't get the audience, or it doesn't get the reach that this title did, and it comes down to people are starting to censor their own words, change the way that they speak, use trick words to kind of get around it. And in reality, there's not even that, but they believe it is. So then they do it. And then everyone also kind of picks up on it. And it makes this weird speaky culture that, it's not necessary, but it's still something that people are doing. And it's very annoying.
I think a lot of it started with self-censorship. Like, for example, like you have I'm not going to say it, but I'll say the word, the N word. Or the R word, or whatever.
Yeah, there are some very objectively bad words, but yeah.
And then it becomes like, oh, well, we're going to capitalize this letter, but we're not. But we're consciously not going to capitalize this. And you can't say the word dead, so now we have to say the word unalive. You can't say terrorists, so we're going to use symbols. And people start creating this new, like you said, a newspeak, a new type of self-censorship where people can translate on the fly what they're saying, because they want to get their message. They desperately want to get their message out. But on the other hand, they don't want to be demonetized, or they don't want to be limited what they're saying. And if you're online, I'll just say this, and we can really move on from this if you want, because I will be on a soapbox the size of Mount Everest. But we don't realize how much we've given up to Google or one or two companies, because they have a monopoly on how you make money. Google had Google Ads, and there is nothing else like it. There's been attempts, it doesn't work. It's like 95% of the business, and they are so strict about what you can do and what you can't say and what you can say, and you'll get shadow banned, and they can't tell you why, and all this stuff. And there's YouTube, which of course has been infiltrating everything with AI speak and slop, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, and it does not benefit the content, it benefits the advertisers, because they do not want to put naughty, force balls in front of children, because they've already got Baby Shark playing 24/7. They don't want that child to, oh my God, what's that word? You can't say that. And it is so rancid, and it's such a bad way to look at things. And we have seen cracks in that hegemony. We've seen it a little bit with social media and all that, but it's just cracks, and cracks can be easily papered over.
This is weird, and we are going to move on from it. I will just say that nothing is really changing kind of content wise. People, like we were saying, people are still saying the words that they want to say, just in a slightly different way, and they're still getting the same messages across. It's just they're being a little tricky about it. So,
they're trying,
Yeah, so we're fine for now, but regardless, that's a whole separate thing. Like you said, that's a soapbox and a half. Let's talk about, I think, we're going to come back to Calcopia later on the show, but let's do some current events, just kind of get some headlines out of the way, and then we'll circle back around. We'll talk about some reviews that you have up on your site, especially for the movies, and then we will, I think, after that, move on into CES 2026 and, kind of what trends are we going to see or expect to see, and, historically, Computer America and PopZara/Calcopia have, kind of done some things for CES. You've always sent people out there, and we'll talk about, just kind of what we expect of the 2026 show, altogether. But with that being said, Nathan, why don't we go ahead and get started and talk about there was a power outage in California. Seems like a weird thing for a tech show to talk about, but looks like it caused a little bit of havoc with Waymo. So yeah, you sent over the story. What was so exciting about a power outage in California?
Well, not really exciting. There's two parts to this story. One, it's a tech story because Waymo has been getting a lot of traffic. Get it? Literally.
I get it.
They've been expanding their market. I think they just got approved for New York. They're a self-autonomous driving company. They've done pretty good at it. I think there was a big. You have to forgive me, Ben, because you and I haven't talked for a while. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that we missed.
Yeah.
But I think there was a report that came out about how safe self-autonomous cars are, like last month.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be a little credulous because I'm on board with self-driving cars. I love it. I think it's the future. I know a lot of you car heads are probably going to burn me in effigy, but that's cool. You're wrong, and you're outvoted. But the fact is, it's going to change the world. It's going to change the world for the better in massive ways. On one, it's going to help eliminate a lot of deaths. Maybe.
I would just say
I got to be careful with that. So.
Yeah, no, I will just say that I remember talking, and I was just telling my wife about this earlier, like back in like 2016, 2017, when Elon Musk first, had some kind of level of automation with Tesla, and he was like, oh, self-driving cars are 2 years away, which I think he just said again recently. So, hey, who knows what 2 years is?
Well,
but I just want to say that we were talking about it with Craig and everything, and it was like, when self-driving car features, when safety features kind of really flesh themselves out, it's going to be this case where what happens to insurance companies, because like, how are they going to be able to survive if, people aren't paying premiums, if they aren't getting into accidents, what's going to happen with insurance, what's going to happen with cars. And Nathan, I got to say, all of that blue skying, all of that future seeing, totally useless because of people in cell phones. I don't think insurance companies have ever made as much money or had to do so much because people cannot put down their devices, and car accidents, luckily, like non-fatal, low fender bender, small accidents have skyrocketed in the past 10 years instead of being eliminated like I thought it would be.
Cars are safer. Like actual cars are safer than ever before. Like if you got into an accident 30 years ago, you were probably dead.
Yeah.
Like they would crush you out. So modern cars.
The crumple zone was the passenger cabin. Yes.
Exactly. And but no, I mean we could do, we could talk about future speak here all the time, and I'd love to talk to you about it sometime. But the fact of the matter is that when you go back to companies like Waymo, and you mentioned Elon Musk, that's the second part I want to talk about. Because only the Waymo cars went down, not the Tesla cars. And if you saw the second story I sent you, he was kind of mocking. He was making fun of Waymo for this because the way, and I'm not too hip on exactly the technology, but the way the Tesla self-autonomous cars work is a little different than Waymo. They work on, the way the images are read. And so the Waymo cars went down. And you remember this because I don't know if anybody knows, but Ben knows what a flood is. And when there was a lot of flooding, there was a lot of speculation about electric cars exploding. You remember this?
Yep.
And people, and so that's why you have to be careful when politicians talk about, well, if the future's coming, we have to mandate it. Well, that's usually a red flag that it's not the future, because if it was the future, it will be the future, and you can't make it the future because if it's not ready, it will explode you. And so you remember all these government impetuses to replace gasoline cars with electric cars, but it's always like 10 years in the future or 15 years. Always kind of conspicuously.
It's a long on-ramp for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like because that way the politician gets all the glory of saying I changed the world without actually doing a damn thing. And by the time when those deadlines hit, that will just extend them again. But the fact of the matter is, electric cars, or you have to look at electric and self-autonomous is different. The technologies are different, of course, but Waymos are electric and they're self-autonomous. And when the grid went down, they went down. And when the grid went down for Tesla, the cars stayed running. And I think that's an important distinction. And the reason I want to bring that up, the reason I think it's funny, if you go to Google right now and you type in Tesla cars, San Francisco outage, all you'll hear about is the Waymo cars going down. You won't hear a single story unless you search for it about the fact that the Tesla cars stayed up. The coverage has been completely lopsided, like 99%. Oh, Waymo went down, Waymo went down. So because to me, to have a counterpoint that the rival to Waymo did not go down would be positive news for Tesla. And we all know in the tech world today, we're not allowed to say anything positive about Tesla. That would be verboten. But
I'm actually curious, like, why did why is that the thing? And it's like, why did Waymo go down and Tesla did not? And just kind of poking through the article that you sent over, it looks like when an intersection goes down, it treats it as a four-way stop. But because of the sheer number of four-way stops, it kind of I guess it looks like it overloaded the servers, and it kind of had to make like adjustments, kind of server side. And there was so much kind of noise, interference, and friction going on with the infrastructure that it just froze all of Waymo.
Well, and this is really the story I was really getting at when I talked about the study that showed that Waymos were safer than regular cars, is because, they're safer because there's not many of them. But how does that look when you scale up, right? How does that look when you take it from like a city like San Francisco and you apply it to 300 million people? Is it still going to be safe? Like there was, I think in the same story, they talked about a Waymo hit a cat and the cat died. And people were all, aghast. 1 million cats a year die from regular cars getting hit. We don't write stories about them, or what I mean. It's the way it's the technology that we want versus the technology that we have, and you simply can't predict safely, Ben, that if we take away all the gas guzzling cars right now and replace them with Waymo and Tesla, that we're going to save those people's lives. Maybe, I would like to think so, but people don't know this, but if you calculate the number of fatalities for cars, it's higher than gun violence. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and people don't say, well, it's like, but we're not going to like sue the automakers, like the way, we're not going to politicize automakers the way we politicize guns. The fact is,
I'm definitely on the same boat as you, where, the old saying, you can't let good be the opposite of perfect. Self-driving cars are going to come, like you said, they are going to change the world. And I gotta say, I've seen a lot of you drive. I've been out on the roads. Y'all are terrible. And you guys just want to, look at your phone. Like, Nathan, I promise you, I was at an intersection I think it was a couple months ago at this point. Someone had a phone up on their dash, like a camera or a like a GPS kind of deal. Fine. But then they had another phone, a second phone up on their dash right below the rear view mirror. I kid you not, streaming TikTok. They were watching TikTok at all times. It was so spooky. I'm like, that's who I'm sharing the road with.
Well, think about this: like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, GPS. Like, we tell people not to use their phones, but we literally give them software that requires them to look at their phones. So, what I mean? It's like if you go to we're going to talk about the movies later. I was at the theater this weekend, and they have all the commercials, like, don't talk, don't text, but here's a QR code. Like, what the hell? Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to put my phone away, or do you want me to scan your screen? Like, what do you want? Like, I saw billboards on the highway. I went on a trip. Did I tell you I was in North Carolina last month?
No.
We'll talk about that later. I was not close to where you are, but in the Durham area, and you see all these billboards, and the billboards have QR codes. Like, what are you trying to say? But it's like
just park on the side of the road, get out, take a picture, and get back on the highway. Yeah,
But I also know enough about the technology of anything to know that you're not going to get the perfect technology. You're not going to get it's like cancer treatments with chemotherapy. Like, it's not perfect. Like, it will kill the cancer, and it may kill you, but it will kill the cancer, right? It's like you're not gonna wait until the perfect self-autonomous car that causes zero accidents. There's going to be accidents, right? There's going to be project fails. I actually think this is the best thing in the world for Waymo. I think this is great because this is market testing for them. They know what happens now if there's a grid failure. They can use this to make their car better, right? That's what they need to do. They need to use it to make it better, and so, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, we'll see if they can, kind of beef up the resilience of it. I think a citywide power outage, I mean, in San Francisco, that is very unusual. And, there's other non-fun techie stuff as to why that happened. But citywide power outages happen all the time, all over the country. So, they have to be ready for that.
I'll say this. Here's my final thought. You're old enough to remember when you have competing technologies, like the oldest one in our history, right?
Zune and iPod, of course. Yes.
Well, not in our history, way before us, but like AC versus DC, Edison versus Tesla, right? Mm-hmm. And then up to 2000s, you had what was it looking for? Sirius versus what was the other satellite?
Sirius versus XM, and then
Sirius versus XM. Yeah. Or you had CMDA versus what was the other cell phone standard at the time? You know what I'm talking about?
Other cell phone standard was NFC and something like that, or like what?
I forget what it is, but that's my point, is that we forgot. But at the time, it was important because like when iPhone went to AT&T, it's because their network could handle voice and data, and at the time, Verizon's could not. You could either have voice or data, and eventually they get the bugs worked out, and eventually all technology merges into one because the winning technology wins, right? Like, I know someone out there right now is calling me a liar and calling me a heretic, and he's typing on his Dvorak keyboard on his Linux GNU. But you're an outlier.
He's going to navigate to your site with his trackball mouse. Yeah.
Exactly. He's still rocking it. If it doesn't, there's no problem. Why do I need to upgrade? Exactly. You stick with what works for you because it's made you the winner you are. But the fact that what I'm saying is that eventually, whatever Waymo is or Tesla or whatever, eventually there will be standards. Because there's going to have to be. Like we have gas standards and gasoline. We have diesel standards. We have electricity standards because we don't want to burn the neighborhood down. We don't want our electric cars to explode if they hit water. Especially, what if you're in a snowstorm or a flood and your car can't start because the new technology the government mandated is worse than what came before it? That's not going to stand. You know what I mean? It's not going to work. Like it will happen. It will happen.
It will happen.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that will speed up adoption is, not that government needs to get out of the way or get on board or anything like that, but will it be a monetary benefit? Like, will capitalism dictate how quickly can this be implemented?
Absolutely. That's the only concern. That's it. That's the only concern. Nothing else. Yep. Safety is a secondary thing. Like, and I think if we're alive to see it, the next big frontier is obviously AI LLM models. Mm-hmm. So we're going to eventually see some culling of some of these AIs. You know what I mean? Eventually, something will happen. We're not going to have 50 competing models.
I truly hope that the culling of the AI is going to be of the giant, massive, ones, and the rise of the little ones. But hey, we will see how the AI wars progress. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump over to our next story. And this one, I know a little bit about, let's talk a bit about what I kind of perceive as a way to grab people's attention. Claire Obscura, there was the Game Awards show hosted by Jeff Keighley. And if you watch that, you heard on repeat, Claire Obscura Expedition 33. One, it I don't want to say it swept. I think it lost one category.
It swept. No, it almost swept. Like it might as well.
It was like 12 out of 13 awards that it was up for. It won, or 13 out of 14, 12 out of 13. It was a lot. But there's another one where I dare say not as prestigious, but hey, it's another award show called the Indie Game Awards. And that one, they disqualified the overwhelming, because Claire Obscura is an independent developer. I would say they're like a medium-sized studio. Definitely not AAA. I think AA is what you would call it.
I don't think it should have been nominated for any indie awards. It's too expensive. Like, I'm sorry, but there's a $30 million game or whatever it was. It was just, that's not.
Which when you consider triple and quadruple A, I think we have at this point is, $200, $600 million for a game. 30 million is not nothing, but it's also not a AAA game at this point.
Yeah, that's like a company owned by Disney, qualifying as like an independent film company.
I would say a company backed by Disney would be closer to.
Exactly. Yeah. But that being said, I mean, by all accounts, the game is awesome, and everyone who's played it seems to love it a lot. And it is a triumph of great development over hyper expensive things.
Yes. Can you outline for everyone, or I think I can also jump in, why it was disqualified? Because it is being touted as a triumph of indie development, but it got disqualified from the Indie Game Awards.
Oh, Ludditism. That's what it is. Like, we're going to start seeing this happen over and over. You see it all the time. I hate AI pitchforks, but then the big company like, we love AI. It helps us out. Like, we went through this before about 25 years ago with Photoshop and digital editing. It's like, oh, Photoshop's not real art. It's not a real paintbrush, so it's not real art. Da, 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 da. But at the end of the day, though, the game won the awards, right? It did win.
Yeah, and I think the big kerfuffle that happened here, the big problem that they had was that on release, Clear Obscure Expedition 33, I guess during the development process, they used AI to have placeholder assets. And they patched them out after, I think, 3 days is what I read somewhere, for the custom-made assets that were supposed to be shipped with the game, but they kind of missed some of the assets. And so they were never intended to be there for the final release. They had, real human-made assets. But because it had generative AI being used during the development and it was technically shipped with AI, that disqualified it from this particular award show.
We're going to have to reconcile what AI actually is. And the problem is, for example, if you watch a modern TV cartoon show, like even The Simpsons or Bob's Burgers or Family Guy, whatever, those are called animation, right? Mm-hmm. And people say, oh, it looks like hand-drawn animation. It's not. There's no hand-drawn animation there. It's computer animation. It's just as CG as Pixar film. They use software called Toon Boom, right? And what Toon Boom does, and all the other ones, is you compile a character reference model inside the software, and you can animate it. That's why if you look at these cartoons or Adventure Time or any cartoon on the air right now is run by Toon Boom. All of them, 100%. All of a sudden the backgrounds will get 3D and they'll move around, and the characters, like, that animation's pretty good. It's so smooth. But you'll notice a stiffness to the character sometimes where it's not quite, the characters just stand around talking. Because
I would say Family Guy would be, or Family Guy and Simpsons are both great examples of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Go look at The Simpsons from 30 years ago. You can see the pencil sketchings, right? It's not like that anymore. But is that still considered hand-drawn animation? Some people think it is. No, it's computer animation. It's completely computer animation. It's not hand-drawn. But we think it is because it looks like it. Mm. But it's a tool. It's a tool. And it lets you make a billion. Go on Hulu right now and look at adult animation. There's like 1 million shows that all look exactly the same. It's the same software. But when it comes to AI,
I think this is even the asset, and within the article that we're going to include in the show notes, this is one of the images that was pulled from the game. And it looks like some of the AI assets that they were using were, if you can see the video portion right there, the posters on a pillar, I guess during a certain part of the game, they look like, because remember this was over a year ago since they, kind of put these, it's the usual AI generated text that looks just completely, nonsensical and awful.
And, it's like, here's the thing though, AI is a tool and we're still figuring it out. Like, we're going to talk about James Cameron here later because he has, I don't know if you heard, he has a new movie out. He loves AI. One of his companies, they use AI post-processing to take old shows and revive them in old movies. And it's awful. It's really bad. It turns people into monsters. It doesn't look right. Did you see that there was a story about 3 weeks ago where HBO Max or one of the streaming channels, they remastered Mad Men, the TV show Mad Men?
Yeah.
And they forgot to fix the effects. And so there's a scene out there when you can see the prop guy operating a barf machine. And they just forgot. And nobody cared. Nobody looked at it. Nobody said, hey, this isn't right. They just shipped it. That's quality control. AI is not going to fix that, and it's not going to make that better or worse. The problem is we're having the wrong discussion about what AI is. And people need to get the stick out of their asses and stop thinking that AI is going to take over everything when it's not. It's here to stay. It's not going away. And if you think it's going to take over, it will take over because you're fighting the wrong fight. When you have a small company, we said this at the beginning with Calcopia and Popzara. When you have a small budget, you can't afford to just go out and buy the farm and everything, asset. If you're Disney, you don't have to ask permission to use assets. You can just do whatever you want. And so if you're a small company and you're using AI to sort of help plan and strategize things, like what we used to call, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
storyboarding?
Storyboarding. Like, it's a tool. Like, I remember years and years and years ago, George Lucas was talking about the PlayStation 2. This was back in the 90s, the 2000s. He said, oh, I wish we would have had that technology. And he didn't mean to make effects for Star Wars. He meant that the PlayStation 2 was such an affordable technology, he could make what you would call animatics, which they all do, by the way. They all use computers now to make animatics. They can do 3D simulated backgrounds, and they can produce that because the technology's there. Does that mean we don't have cinematographers anymore? No. I'll give you the best example I've ever heard in my life. Here's the best example. This is the end of I will win the argument. When Steven Spielberg was making Jurassic Park, right? He hired, what was his name? Phil Tippett. He hired Phil Tippett, the guy who worked on Empire Strikes Back. He worked on RoboCop. You know, he was the best stop motion animation artist in the world.
Yeah.
You've seen RoboCop. You've seen ED-209. Yes. That's all Phil Tippett. He's great. Does it look photoreal? No. Can you see the seams? Yes. Is it great? It's awesome. We love RoboCop. So he made these designs, which you can still look online. He made these dinosaurs, and he invented a new way to make the stop motion even smoother. And it's really good. It's really good. But the James Cameron people who had worked on Terminator 2 had better ideas. They said, you know what? We think, Steven, maybe you should look at this CG stuff. And poor Phil Tippett, he got replaced. But but here's the thing, though. The computer animation people, they didn't know how to do animation. They could do it, but they couldn't make it look good. Phil Tippett, who had an intimate knowledge of animal physiology, knew how to do animation. So he taught the CG people how to animate, and he's credited on Jurassic Park as dinosaur expert. But here's the thing, there's a great interview with him. He's like, I was out of a job. I put myself out of a job. But you know what he did? He learned CG, and he used it with the stop motion, and he used it with prosthetics, and he debuted his own technology in the next Paul Verhoeven movie, Starship Troopers.
Yep.
And if you watch Starship Troopers, that's Phil Tippett unleashed. That's all him. That's CG, it's models, and you know what? It looks just as good today as it did 30 years ago. So it's a tool that he used. He didn't just sit there and complain about it. He learned it. He made it better. He utilized it. And that's what AI is. AI is not all about stealing assets. It's all about it's all about, faster computer imaging and faster computer rendering. And every single Hollywood company is using it. They're all doing it. Every game company is doing it. All of them.
And this is going to come up a little bit when we talk about CES, is that there's definitely almost like an aversion / exhaustion to AI, but also it's not one of these completely vaporware things that we've seen here before, where that it's already worked its way into workflows, and like you said, it's just finding the best way to use AI, because all the worst ways that AI can be used, they are currently being used, and they will hopefully fall away. Like if you look at social media and like any video on like a social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, whatever it may be, underneath like every video is like, this video depicts blah 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 blah, and I'm like, that's one of the worst ways that you can use AI, is to have AI describe a video and but it's like terrible. The laziest way. But yeah, Nathan, it's like the lazy, terrible ways. They're gonna happen, but they're gonna fall away.
I'm gonna say one more thing, a little controversy, because if you remember when I Popsara stuff, we did a lot with original artwork. Like, we had a mascot, right? So I have some standing on this. Here's the thing. If you're an artist that's not worried about AI, you're probably not a very good artist. Because if you're really worried that your derivative artwork is going to be replaced by derivative AI, then maybe you should be worried. Because I look at so much modern artwork, and it's all derived from stuff they watched on TV. It's all derived from other stuff. It's like I love manga and I love anime, right? I do love it. But 99% of it is derivative AF. It looks the same. It looks exactly the same. And people say, no, it doesn't. No. Yes, it does, because I can point to it. You can tell me what it is. And the problem is that people forget that in Japan, that's not some artistic wonderland. That's a slave factory. People literally die making those movies, because it's a giant cluster. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've had CG replace stuntmen, because stuntmen, not everybody is Jackie Chan and Tom Cruise, right? Not everybody is crazy enough to go up in a helicopter. So we have CG to make it safer for stuntmen. We have CG to make nudity less a problem. We've used technology to make things safer, and maybe it doesn't look as real, but it's way safer, and no one's getting killed. And so that's what you have to look at.
My question to you is, and we're going to wrap up Clair Obscur and this whole exclusion from the Game Awards, but I don't think there will be a game that is developed that doesn't use AI at some point.
I think there's so many that use it already. And we just don't know about it.
There's so many games that use it almost solely. Like there's already games that are being developed solely with AI, and they are, they're not good, they're gross, they're bad, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
My question to you, Nathan, is that how long can the Indie Game Awards, or really any, this is actually a very similar, kind of conversation that has been had about the, the Academy Awards and, the Oscars, the Emmys, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like, when do we start including streaming videos? Like if it doesn't have a theatrical release, do we include Netflix into, movie awards? And I feel like it's the same thing.
No, that's the same argument. They've been having that argument for years. They keep going back and forth. I think it's pretentious, like to require a movie to be in theaters to be eligible for your sainted award. Look, I have no love for the Oscars. The Oscars is full of shit. Sorry, forgive my language. It is predatory. It is a bad organization that says, if you want to get this golden statue, then you have to make your movie according to my rules. It has to have so much of this. It has to do this. It has to. You can't not use union labor. I mean, that's not organic. That's manufactured. That's exactly what I was telling you about with Google. It's like, if you want a nice website you got, shame if something were to demonetize it, right? And pretty soon you're making these movies for Oscars. Like James Cameron, again, sage of the internet. He says, go ahead and chase. He had a good interview just this week, and he said, people like to play the awards game. He's like, go ahead. I don't like to do that. He's like, I like to focus on making movies people actually want to see. I think he's pretty good at it. But let me tell you the last thing about the Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Yeah.
People aren't mad that it used AI. People are mad that they couldn't tell. And they loved it. They loved this game. They sang its praises. They gave it all the awards. And then the developer said we used it. And oh my god!
Well, to be clear, the asset that was AI was a placeholder that was replaced after 3 days. Like this feels like such a way to get headlines from the award show than anything else.
Here's the thing. The Game Awards by Jeff Keighley, whatever you want to call him. Remember, Jeff Keighley's father owns IMAX. So he has a lot of he has a lot of assets to draw upon. You know what I mean? Yeah. Things to draw upon. But the Game Awards, like all these Game Awards, this is why people don't take gaming seriously, because it's all run by idiots. Like you have the Indie Game Awards, no one gives a crap. It's like when you have a university give a celebrity an honorary degree, but then you find out like 10 years later that the celebrity had a sex scandal, so they take it away. What'd you take away? You didn't take away anything. You didn't give them anything. Can you imagine being a real student at a school and you see this celebrity who had a hit rap song get a degree that you spent 8 years and $100,000 paying for, and then they take it away? You didn't give anything. He's not a doctor. He didn't take it away because he wasn't practicing.
To everyone out there, just remember, comparison is the thief of joy. So
exactly.
We'll leave Clair Obscur with that.
But I'll say this. It's here to stay. You're going to see a lot of slop. I think slop was the word of the year for Merriam-Webster. Slop's a great word. It's great. When you see, but can I tell you something though? When I go online and I see some of the AI videos, not the muscular cat rescues damsel in distress, but when I see some of the really cool stuff that's being used with AI, it's entertaining to me. I was like, that's something I've never seen before. Like, I want something new.
It is novel.
It can be used in ways. Look, Toy Story being a CG movie, animated movie, does not replace Snow White as an animated movie. They exist together, right? And so bring AI on if it makes things better. But you're going to tell what the slop is. Yeah. You can avoid the slop.
Yep. So with that, we're going to wrap that one up, and just real quick, and we're not even going to focus on this because this is such a still developing story that it doesn't really make much sense to even recap it at this point. We're going to touch real quick on Larry Ellison offers personal guarantees. So for everyone out there, just my real quick rendition of this. Warner Brothers said they were up for sale. Competing bids. Netflix said that we were going to buy essentially the prestigious Hollywood history part of it with all the IP and all the background and all that stuff. They were going to spin off the cable channels that are part of Warner Brothers. And, they said that would, be good for shareholders. They said, yeah, we agree. And then came this private investment firm that said we're going, that I think it was Paramount, said that they were going to come in and buy Warner Brothers with a hostile takeover. Yeah, after they said that they were going to reject a different offer, they were going to do a hostile takeover, which is where they just buy the shares outright for cash. And then they said, it's still not a good deal because it's all unsecured. It's like $110 billion. Crazy numbers for this whole thing. And Nathan, I swear, legacy media has been on such a back foot with streaming and trying to adapt. But seeing these numbers that are just being tossed about, I'm like, legacy media is not dead yet because everyone's just scrapping over this.
Because no one's really seeing what the real story is. They're all like, oh, the movies, the price. That is not what's going on here. Last week, Disney announced that they were going to license some of their characters for AI development. Did you see this?
Yeah.
And the idea is that you could basically, it's like Fortnite. Think about Fortnite.
You can make your own Disney.
You can make your own thing. That's what this is about. It has nothing to do with Batman. It has to do with the Batman IP. It has to do with the IP. Like when Disney bought Fox, first they scrubbed the word Fox out of it. They still kept the logo. They just call it 20th Century Television, right? And so, but they want Simpsons. They want Avatar. They want all this stuff. It's like, who owns James Bond? Is it Amazon? Like, it's all about IP acquisition, because once you have the characters, you can sublease them into a billion different things. It's not about the film, it's about the IP. And if it's about AI, then that they're making a big stake on the future of entertainment is that you can make your own adventures. You can make your own thing. That's what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. And I think it's going to be terrible, and it's going to be horrible, and it's not going to be fun. It's going to be like 3D television, or it's going to be like VR video games. It's going to be a massive gimmick that we're all going to say we want, and nobody really wants. And
and I guess the story also has, it has all the twists and turns of like a drama saga, but it also had this idea that Netflix, which has always been seen as a disruptor, an outsider, a catalyst for change, coming in and saying, we're going to buy what is essentially, Hollywood history, I guess, and all the IPs that are associated with it, and 100 years of movie making, filmmaking, all that good stuff. And now Netflix, the disruptor, is able to get their hands on all this storied history, and it's like, it's almost like the outsider that killed it is coming in, scooping up the corpse, and saying, "Hey, this is ours now."
This is true. Like, Netflix was offered to be Netflix was up for sale for years, but these companies said, no, we don't need it. You and I have talked about when Disney Plus came out. Oh, Disney Plus is going to come out, and they're going to become the biggest streaming in the world, because of course they are, because why? It's Disney. But they haven't. Like, Netflix has maintained their status quo because Netflix does one thing that Disney and Warner Brothers and none of them do. Netflix doesn't care. They put out content. They're not making a movie and hiding it. They know they don't, like, they're not brand managing with Batgirl, the movie. You know what I mean? They're not removing Stranger Things from their library like HBO did. HBO got rid of all the Looney Tunes, right? They took out shows. They completely excised shows. Disney made a Willow show, and they took it off the service.
Yeah.
Because it's all about, because they don't know how to do brand management. They're like, oh my God, we can't damage Willow, right? But in the old days, think about this. In the old days, cable TV, TNT, CBS After Hours, and all this stuff, you'd have a movie like The Christmas Story. Remember? Christmas Story. Or It's a Wonderful Life. And these movies would come out in theaters and they'd bomb. They make no money, right? Shawshank Redemption, right? All these beloved movies, but they were disasters. Did they hide them? No. They said, we'll sell them for pennies on the dollar. So they just gave them to syndication, and they just played Christmas Story on TV 10 times a day. They played Shawshank on TNT 10 times a day, and people found them. And you know what happened? They loved them. And now these movies are considered iconic. Look at Tron. Tron was a bomb. Went on VHS, went on TV forever, became a huge thing. Let's make another one. Bomb. You know what? Let's try it again. They made a third one. Bomb. We're done. It's like, that's what happens. Because Disney does not understand how to do brand management anymore. Like, when's the last time you saw a Mickey Mouse cartoon? Like, when's the last time you saw any of this stuff? It's all about, well, what's ridiculous? We went to see Avatar, and they had the live action. They had the live action trailer for Moana, right? Yeah. They're remaking the first movie. They just had a sequel last year, and now we're remaking the first one from 10 years ago. Like, reality's catching up. At this point, we're going to remake things we just saw last year.
I'm ready for the remake of the original Avengers and Endgame, and just cycle that back around. That'd be good.
I mean, Warner Brothers, one of the players, they're remaking Harry Potter.
That's true.
They're even having some of the actors from the old things back in to remake the thing they already made. Yep. It's like, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to grow anything, right? We don't know how to grow. Like,
and then, then you got Netflix, like you said, that's just willing to put out any old thing, and look what K-pop Demon Hunters did.
K-pop Demon Hunters was a Sony product. Sony's like, we don't have any faith in this. So he said, Netflix, we'll take it. They put it on Netflix. Nothing happened. Like 2 weeks later, it exploded. It exploded organically, and it became such a huge thing. They put it back in theaters where it made more money, and then they put it back in theaters again where it made even more money. It's like, and now it's nominated for all these awards. It's only nominated because Hollywood doesn't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, again, Netflix has Stranger Things, a franchise they created. It has all these big movies and all these big franchises. Meanwhile, Disney can't make a Star Wars series successful, right? They failed. Paramount, they can't make Star Trek work. You know what I mean? HBO, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Netflix is the only one who's doing it. And if I were HBO, I wouldn't want to go near Paramount. Unless I'm Tom Cruise, they're not going to treat you with respect. And so, like, you go on Netflix, they have prestigious movies. They have high quality animation. They have a lot of trash. They have so many serial killer and true crime documentaries. That's disgusting. But you don't have to watch any of that crap. You can just watch all the cool stuff you want to watch, and you never have to turn it off. And that's what Netflix is. Netflix is that they're just going to overwhelm you. They're just going to overwhelm. They don't care about brand management. They don't care if the movie sucks. They don't care. They made a $300 million movie this year that bombed. But did it bomb?
So
100 million people watched it.
My next question is, how do you see this whole thing ending? Because it seems like the financials of it, like, Paramount's not letting it go.
No, Netflix will buy them because they want Netflix. Warner Brothers doesn't want to be with Paramount. They want to be with Netflix because Netflix is going to strip mine them for all the content. Right. No, don't forget, Netflix is the one who had to deal with Disney 10 years ago before the Star Wars acquisition. Mm-hmm. That Netflix was going to show all the Avengers movie. They were going to show all the Disney movies. They were going to show the Star Wars movies. You remember this? That went away. Went away. And what did Netflix do? Oh no, we're starved for content. What are we going to do? They made their own stuff. And so HBO has proven that they do not know how to run a studio. They don't know how to run a studio. They've run it into the ground. They have arguably the best content online with HBO Max and HBO and stuff. Arguably the best. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to work it. They don't know how to work it anymore. And so, so Netflix does. Netflix is ubiquitous, like a toaster oven. It's on everything.
I can say, you can say that this is what's going to happen, and I can say this is what's going to happen. That whole, and of course, there's this whole idea of regulators and what governments say is going to happen. So who knows how that whole saga is going to end?
I would say it's more likely to happen under a Trump administration. Just because they're more likely to care about that.
A lot of mergers in the past 10 years that have been blocked or stopped or scrutinized have definitely gone through in the past couple of years, or in the past year, for sure. It's mergers.
But I'll say this. My final thought. We keep using the word They keep using the word monopoly. There's no monopoly here. Like if Netflix is basically, when we talk about tablets, we talk about there's iPad and there's Samsung Galaxy. No, there's iPad. The market is an iPad market. That's a monopoly. And this is not a monopoly. There's way too many options out there. Like, you getting Netflix does not mean you cannot have HBO Max. You know what I mean? It's not a monopoly. So I wish they wouldn't talk about it like that. Yeah, but the artist in me doesn't want one company to own everything. Of course not. That's just silly. But the realist in me says they screwed up. So
I think that a lot of people out there, and myself included, are just thinking right now it's like, yeah, there even with only like 6 or 7 major streaming players, that's still too many to keep up with.
There's a lot of crap. For my money, my favorite ones are, just to be clear.
Yeah.
My favorite streaming service is Paramount Plus and Tubi.
Yeah. Tubi and Roku and Roku TV have both been very impressive to me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll watch a couple ads. Amazon has disappointed me. Like, it used to be great, but it's too much there. There's too much advertising. It's not enough content.
Yeah.
And I don't have Netflix anymore. I don't need it. I can wait. But no, the stuff that I want, I'll pay for, and the stuff I don't, I won't. But I'll say this, for all you people talking about lack of competition, I'll say it again. HBO Max, the company that you don't want to join Netflix, has killed their own projects to save money. So it can't be worse than that. You make a whole movie, you spend $200 million on it, you get Michael Keaton as Batman, you record the whole thing, you edit the whole thing, and then you just say, put it in the closet. It can't get worse.
Speaking of things killing their own things, let's talk real quick about these 2 stories, and then we'll wrap back around to to Calcopia, and then we'll wrap back around to CES. These 2 will be really quick. First one is just today's kind of my goodness, how could that happen? Someone made an entire backup of Spotify, and if you may wonder, what is the difference between stealing the entirety of Spotify and backing up the entirety of Spotify? That is the legal question on the table. So, yeah, they said the internet, I believe the Anna's Archive is the name of the service that has done this.
I'm very familiar with Anna's. They usually do it with books, though.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they do it with Spotify.
Well, they have scraped the entire, they say almost all of Spotify, because, Computer America's on Spotify, so this episode wouldn't be on there. But it seems like, a lot of it would be. So the archive includes metadata for 256 million tracks and audio for 86 million songs. So,
spoiler, 80% of those are Taylor Swift songs.
And the other 20% are the new AI Taylor Swift songs. So,
yeah.
By the way, Spotify, if you're listening, get a handle on your AI tagging and your AI songs, because it's going to kill it, just like just like Pinterest and just like all these other services. AI on Spotify is disgusting and pervasive. It is everywhere.
And it's popular.
It is. It so is. But yeah, there's really not much to say here. They said that the total archive is about 300 terabytes, and I'm sure legal challenges await. But Nathan, earlier we were talking about how things on the internet are not always forever. Even Popzar's history is still there, is archived, but taking it forward is not always a guarantee. There's many projects out there to preserve old video games that are, that only run on certain operating systems, on old this, that, or the other. Projects like these do have a place. It's just, what is the difference between stealing and what is archival?
There was a story. I didn't send it to you because I think it was too old, but the Video Game Historian Society announced that they've gotten possession of the Sega Channel cartridge, and they were able to, not just as a cartridge, but I don't know if you're familiar with the Sega Channel, but it was a service that was not very, it ran for a few years, but they've been able to preserve all the software off it, which is interesting to me, because there was original software that never came out on cartridge or wasn't available. And so, yes, there was a book that came out 30 years ago called How the Irish Saved Civilization, right? And it was all about, in the pillaging and the Crusades and all this stuff. And in the history of this, it's always like a group that takes things. And we would never call them thieves because they took things and they saved them from the Crusaders. No. And so if the companies aren't going to do their own preservation, then I say, go for it. Take it. Because if no one else is doing it, right, then someone has to. Then I don't call it theft at all. I think it's people. How much money are you going to make selling 30-year-old games? You're not going to make any money off it.
Right.
But and you've talked to these people, and they genuinely are interested in preservation, and not just games, old movies. Like,
no, they're nerds. They're nerds that care.
When George Lucas changed Star Wars, and he said, "Oh, the physical the original movie is never available again." Yeah, it is, because Disney seemed to found it, because they're going to put it in theaters next year. And so, like, there's something about that. There's something about presenting something the way it was at the time without all the changes. Like, you can go out and find an original copy of The Hobbit, that came out in the 30s before Tolkien revised it. Or you can find the old anti-Semitic versions of Charles Dickens books before he, had a come to Jesus moment and he took it out. Like, you can find these things, but those are versions of something. Whereas it's not like someone today is going back and changing something from 200 years ago. Screw that. I don't like that at all. But I do like seeing the different versions, and I do like seeing the original stuff. I like to see evolution. I want to see how something came to be. And if the company's not going to do it, then let the people who care do it.
Yeah. There does seem to be this idea of archiving technology that has gained a lot of traction, and there are many different organizations, these companies that are trying to make money, like you were saying. You're not going to make a lot of money on a 30-year-old movie or something like that, but it seems like the Spotifys of the world, the Disney Pluses of the world, whatever, they're not interested in preserving their history. So maybe we should have digital historians, which is definitely a thing right now, doing the work. And this is, I think, some of that. But also, how do you make that available without trampling all over, distributing, piracy, that kind of thing, like without that? And yeah, it's right now it's kind of the Wild West of digital archival.
I mean, there's only one answer to that question. It's not a good one. We kind of already have something with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, is that you have to wait for something to go into the public domain. Right. If it goes into the public domain, then you do whatever. I had an interview for a podcast that has not been uploaded yet, but hopefully by this weekend, but for Christmas, with a musician, which I'll talk about in a minute. And and this musician remixes and remasters Nintendo music and video game music, and he presents them as his own compositions on Spotify, Bandcamp. And I said, I've always wondered, how do you do this without getting sued? And he answers the question on the podcast. You get mechanical licenses. Like, you can go into the Library of Congress, you can go to the companies, and you can license you can license music that's been transcribed, and you can take that and make your own version of it. So there are ways to facilitate creative people who want to enjoy it. I would say you have companies like Nintendo and Disney that are very litigious, and they sue people that are clearly copyright infringement. Like Nintendo's probably the most famous company in the world for this, where they see, oh, you're emulating the Nintendo Switch. And the argument is, oh, no, we're just preserving. No, you're literally bootlegging and stealing. That's what you're doing. And you're making it bad for the people that do care about this stuff. Like, there are people who care about it and want to preserve. But if you're selling a Switch emulator so people don't have to pay for Pokemon or Metroid, then you're a bad guy. You should go to jail. You should pay money. But that's not everybody. I've met people who care about old preservation stuff, and they are passionate about it, and they would never try to profit off it. They do it for free. They do it for free, and so
they do it for the love of the game.
They literally, yeah.
So let's see. So Spotify statement, by the way, it was like a couple of hours ago by the time that we are recording this, saying that an investigation into unauthorized access identified that a third party scraped public metadata and used illicit tactics to circumvent DRM to access some of the platform's audio files. We are actively investigating the incident. If they did use illegal tactics to get around DRM, Anna's Archive is in a lot of trouble. But also the public scraping, that's something that everyone has done forever. And as much as companies don't like it, public scraping is totally legal.
I'm not against that stuff. Look, honestly, it's not going to affect Spotify. You know why? Because it's easier to listen to it on Spotify. Like, you're not going to download 30 trillion. You don't have the hard drive space for it right now. And second of all, you pay the $10 for Spotify, you can listen to anything. So it's not going to affect their bottom line at all. Not even a little bit.
There you go.
Funny though.
Yeah, very funny. So we're gonna wrap that one up. Last story we're gonna touch on just real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard you, we've seen it. If you had to go buy a PC for Christmas this year for someone, you may notice that you're in for a little bit of a sticker shock. RAM prices have gone up by 100% in like the last 2 months.
Yeah, they're really ramming it to you here. That's terrible.
There you go. It's oh yeah, wait, I have something for that. No, I guess I don't. He said ram it to you. There you go. Anyways, so with the prices of, with the prices of RAM going up so much, PC sales have slowed by like 70% in the past couple of days. And that's because I think, Nathan, when you go out there in the market, even if you're like 6 months out and you're like, okay, I expect to pay 100 to 150 for a stick of DDR5 RAM. Well, you may be paying closer to $300 to $400 for that same stick of RAM. If you're lucky, if you can find it. That's right. Because some of the producers are even just pulling out of the consumer market entirely to focus on the incredible demand of AI.
Ben, this is the most predictable thing that has ever happened. Like, we knew this was going to happen. And I talked to you about this earlier this year. I said, everyone's going to raise their prices because of shortages, and everyone's going to blame the tariffs. That is not what's happening. Do you remember about 5 years ago or so when GPU prices skyrocketed and they were selling for like $10,000 per video card? Because of Bitcoining, right?
Because of blockchain mining,
and right now NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world, even more than Apple, because of AI generation, right? Where even AMD is struggling. The truth is that you read the stories about, like, where I live in the Midwest near Kansas. There's a big data farm coming, lots of jobs, right? Lots of jobs. But here's the thing: you see the data farms, you see all this. It's like what do you call it? It's not a tidal wave, it's a tsunami. If you look at a tsunami, you'll notice the water just says, you don't wake up one day and go, oh wow, bam, it hits you. That's not how tsunamis work. The water recesses, it goes away. Like, then you know something bad is happening. So all of a sudden the prices became more expensive. The scarcity became this. The prices of everything started going up, and people blamed it on the tariffs. It's like, that is not a tariff thing. That is companies pulling back and reducing stock because they can sell it to a data center and make way more money than they could ever make on you. If you're a gamer or a PC person, you don't matter right now because you are like 10 cents on the dollar. Like, NVIDIA has been making video cards for 30 years almost? Yeah. They've made more money in 5 years on AI than they've made in the past 30 on video cards. I actually saw a funny story about this. Who's the CEO? Jensen? What's his name?
Not Paul Jensen.
Mr. Leather Jacket, right?
Yeah.
He was on some podcast, I think Joe Rogan or something.
Jensen Wang, right? Jensen
Wang. Yeah. And he's a cool guy, right? He's a nice guy. And he talked about how his company got saved. And it was because of the Sega Dreamcast, the game console, right? Because Sega had a deal with NVIDIA to do this and with Microsoft. And let's just say it didn't work out. So Sega had to give him a loan to float him through the bad times. If Jensen had stayed a video game centric company, if all they cared was about making giving you as a gamer better frame rates, that they wouldn't be worth $1 trillion. They saw what the money was and they said, okay, boys, let's go. Let's make some money. And they started pulling, and everyone else, because it's a supply chain, right? If you see NVIDIA start pulling, then we're going to start pulling, and everyone's going to start pulling, like I told you, the tsunami. So yeah, you probably knew back in the summertime, if you need RAM, you better get it now because everything is going to be more expensive because the consumer market is so little compared to what the AI market is. It is so little. You don't even matter to them. You know what I think though, Ben? I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think the PC market has been so oversaturated with unnecessary technology for years. Like, if you ever get your car tires changed, like you go to a retail place like Big O Tires or Firestone, they will lie to your face and tell you that your tires need to be replaced, right? Yeah. And they will happily give you brand new tires that you don't need. Oh, we'll just take these old tires off your hands. Oh, wonderful. We'll charge you for it. We'll take your tires. And what do? They sell those tires.
I kid you
they're still
not,
good.
Nathan. we were lucky enough earlier this year to buy a new car. Came with these fancy schmancy tires. And we got a nail in like the sidewall of the tire, so it couldn't be replaced. And they're like run flats. They're sporty. They're super nice tires.
Tires are expensive, by the way. They're very pricey.
Oh yeah, no, and not to blow anyone's mind, but it was like $500 for one tire. I'm like, just bought this car.
I believe it.
It was $500 for one tire. So get this. They said that we don't recommend you getting just one tire, of a different brand. So you can buy this one tire for $500, or we can, not change the price, not charge you any more, give you 4 brand new fire whatever tires, and we won't charge you a penny more, and we'll take your old 3 tires and just give you 4 brand new tires. And I was like, no, because of exactly what you said. They were going to take my $2,000 worth of brand new came with the car tires and give me $500 worth of old tires.
By the way, most places will charge you to dispose the tire.
Yeah.
And they're not disposing it. They're selling it. They're reselling your tire.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. I have a nice computer. My computer, I think I bought my current build in 2023. I forget what I have. Let me double check what I have right now. I'm a PC guy, by the way. Mac sometimes. I have a Ryzen 7 7700X 8-core, whatever, 4.5. I have 32 gigs of RAM, right?
You're loaded. 32 gigs. Gold
people think, oh, you need 64. You need this. No. Trust me, I do a lot with my PC. I do way more with my PC than most people do. I have a nice, and let me tell you a little true story before I head up. I bought my laptop back in 2022. It's a nice Lenovo 7. I love it. It's really good. Intel Core, I think 13 or whatever. And it was getting a little slower and everything. And I upgraded it and everything and did all the usual stuff. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, all that stuff. It's really nice. And then I said, you know what? It might be time to upgrade. I didn't know why. I just felt like I needed to. Like the marketing was working. And I kept looking at the MacBook Airs because I think maybe it's time to go back to Mac on the laptop because the MacBook Airs are the best laptop on the market. They really are. I'm not advertising Mac, but they're really good. And I noticed that Apple started doubling their RAM. Like they include 16 gigs of RAM instead of 8. Oh my God, that's better than PCs. And the prices just kept coming down. And over this year, the price of the new M4 MacBook Airs, $750. What the hell? What's going on? And I went to the store and I played with it and I was like, they're really good, but are they good? That good? Are they good enough? And I kept getting hesitant. And I realized I don't need a new laptop. I'm perfectly fine with what I have. I just feel, I'm so the marketing worked on me, Ben. I need a new computer because I need something slightly insignificantly faster. And it's like the video card stuff. You got to buy a $3,000 video card. And then, but you know what's happened in the last 2 years? We've proven that video card reviews are mostly bullshit. And that, it's like, there's a reason why if you read a video card review, it's mostly all benchmarks. Like, oh, it's Cinebench. No one gives a hell. No one's playing Cinebench. They're playing Tomb Raider, or something. And then, but the thing is that then you get these new big boy games. You get these new epic Unreal games, and they still run like crap because they're not optimized. And the truth is, most computers are fine. And if unless you have like a 10-year-old, AMD 64, you're probably okay with what you have.
And by the way, some of the best games I've played this year have been some of the worst looking games.
Well, not only that though, you had Doom: The Dark Ages came out from Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
The game is the best optimized game I've ever seen on a new game. It will run on a 10-year-old video card, right? It is so well optimized. Meanwhile, you get these brand new $80 games that don't run a damn. So we've been snookered into thinking that if we buy new thing, then new thing run better. But new thing don't run better.
There was even, I want to say it was Battlefield 6 or something like that, there was even some cases this year that if you had let's say a 5090 or a 4090 this year, games were actually running worse because of, like you said, optimization.
Optimization is bad.
Yeah, and they just weren't running as good as older, worse graphics cards.
It's absolutely true. And so that's not to say that new video cards don't have their place, but that
not as much as marketing would have you believe. Yeah,
not even close. And there was a whole argument about video cards this year. I know we're not talking about video cards. There's an whole argument. Oh, but this one only has 8 gig VRAM. But you need 16. Why? Why do you need it? And PC testers online, they can't explain why you do it. They
Because
go,
it's what plants crave. Yeah.
Well, there was
Obviously.
a controversy. I forget who it was, but like a PC Gamer or whatever, they were mad because they were told they couldn't review the game before an embargo, and it's or the video card. And like they're not being used to being told what to do outright. Like they like their treats. So as long as Nvidia or AMD is giving you your cookies, you'll play along. But the moment they take their cookies away, you have a temper tantrum like any preschooler, and that's the problem with the PC world, Ben. Is that people are upset because they didn't realize that RAM was going to go through the roof. Yeah, it's going through the roof because they don't care about you. Like, so what I would suggest to anybody, build a makeshift. If you need a new computer, if you absolutely need one, try to find used computers. Try to find used prices. Get some DDR4 RAM. You don't need bleeding edge. You really don't need it. I see grandparents rocking like a better system than I do, so they could use spreadsheets. You don't need that. You don't need that crap.
I would never call Craig out, but I will say that his giant Mac desktop looks really spiffy there as he checks.
I will say for sure. I will say this. Here's the end of my story. I ended up buying the MacBook 4, the M4, and I remember I set it up, had everything set up, and I sat there, and I was like, "This is really nice. This is really fast," but it didn't sit well with me. So I took it back. And now I'm still using my 2022. Is it super fast? No. Is it fast enough? Yes. And so it's like, weather through this storm. Like we'll get through this, right? Prices will become reasonable again after a while. But then NVIDIA, AMD, I think didn't Corsair get out of the business, or who left the business?
Yeah, there was why don't I say like HK something?
Something. One of the big brands left.
Yeah, there's only like 3 major manufacturers of RAM, and one of them said we are exclusively doing corporate. We are no longer doing consumer RAM. So
exactly. Yeah. And so it will pass, right? But you are not their priority. They do not care about you. Like they care about AI everything. AI good, you bad.
If we survive the graphics card crunch that, everyone said that for every graphics card I can make X amount of money, and, money dictated that you were not going to get a graphics card. If we can make it through that, RAM will come back down. It may take a year, but it'll come back down.
You'll be fine. Just hold off on it.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start heading towards wrap up. So we could say Avatar Fire and Ash review. We could say the Odyssey trailer and that kind of stuff. But I also just want to say that let's talk a little bit about Calcopia and kind of what people can find there. And obviously I've had it in the background. You have a big image of a review of Avatar Fire and Ash. You have other reviews of hardware and other movies, and a podcast even up there. So let's just talk about Calcopia in general.
Okay, I do want to make a disclaimer. It is a new site, and we are technically still in soft launch, which means that we are still in the process of weeding out bugs and everything. A website, you could do it 2 ways. You can throw it up there and just Hail Mary, right? You could be like Netflix and just do whatever. I wish we had that kind of money. So, but no, it's up there. So forgive our mess. There's some things that obviously need to be fixed and tweaked, but you cannot sculpt a beautiful pot unless you get the clay on the pedestal. And so we have a lot of clay on the pedestal. Our ads are nice and chunky, right? But Popzara never had ads. And so maybe this is a new thing for us. So we have big chunkalicious ads that take over half the page. We'll fix that. There's some formatting issues that we'll fix that too. There's some color issues. I mean, it's pretty modular right now, but we'll fix that too. But it works, and the content's good, and we're getting there. And there's a lot of new features coming next year. So that's exciting because we have a fully functioning, working website where everything works, and it's pretty cool, and it can only get better. And the fact that we did that in 3 months, well, it didn't take 3 months, it took a year. But the fact that we got that within 3 months is pretty cool. And so I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy and proud of all the contributions.
It's important to be excited about it as well. So once again, we'll have a link to Calcopia in the show notes, and you can see it there. So just because time's sake, just looking at the time, realized that, wow, it flew by. Let's just talk real quick about CES 2026. I'm not sending anyone out. I'm not going out myself. I believe that you said that, your coverage is also going to be limited to remote for CES as well. Probably. So just in general, CES 2026, I haven't heard anything bad. I haven't heard all the usual doomers that, nothing's going to happen with CES. But I will say, just from the tech space in general, I'm expecting AI to be the thing.
Shocking, I know.
Yeah, shocking, but yeah, I believe that every company is going to figure out how to squeeze AI into their spiel, be it a toy, be it a monitor, be it a device of any kind. I'm sure there will be electronic bikes that will be AI powered. Are you looking forward to anything? Any other trends other than AI?
I haven't really focused on CES this year, and I'll tell you why. Well, obviously because of the website, but again, what you said is, and I think CES has to be very careful because a lot of their partners, they're big companies like Samsung and or whatever, they're so heavy on AI that I think it does erode some of the cool factor. Because while I disagree that people have bad connotations with AI, that's justified. But at the end of the day, I think the buzz is gone that AI is becoming normalized. And the question is, what is AI going to end up looking like? Like, there was a story last week, I think, with Samsung, where there was a Copilot app on their TV you couldn't get rid of.
That they finally let you get rid of, yeah.
They finally get rid of, and I thought to myself, well, that's not good. Like, the optics are not good. Like, it's such a good product that you're going to want that we're not going to let you take it off. Well, that's not good. Yeah. So what AI looks like in 2026 at CES is going to determine people's excitement. It's one thing to say, because there was a small story that came out 2 months ago. You probably forgot. I forgot about it, but this woman was hysterical because she saw an advertisement with her name. I think it was an advertisement for some Amazon show on her fridge, and it just so happened to have her name. It wasn't because of her, but she thought it was her. And but the people came out and said, "Why are there ads on your refrigerator?" Right? And it's sort of like there's ads on your TV, there's ads on your refrigerator, there's ads here, there's ads there. And what people don't understand, Ben, is that if you have Copilot on your TV or an ad, that's because your TV's subsidized.
It's just another data point, yeah.
It's a data point, and they're saying, well, we need that to bring the TV price down, but you don't. Like, if you go to Best Buy or Walmart right now, you can buy, and I'm not joking, you can buy a 75-inch 4K TV for like $300. That's insane. Is it the best TV? No, but you know what's coming next year? The World Cup. Trust me. People aren't picky. And so what's going to happen is, are we going to have AI on refrigerators? Are we going to have AI on doorbells? Yes. Are we going to have AI on pets? Yep. We're going to have AI here.
I will say that I have a newer fridge. I mean, I think I got it like in 2020 or something like that.
Does it have ads?
It has AI. And it has like this sensing thing where it has like a camera on the inside, and it can be like, oh, you have strawberries. And it'll be like, strawberries are, so-and-so days out of date. By the way, I've never messed with any of those settings, and I kind of like it. It sends me, or it shows me a notification up on the touchscreen that it has, and it says, Nathan, I swear to you, it says, strawberries are 2,400 days old. They might be expiring soon. I should go in there and clear it, but it's kind of funny to me that it's like, oh, it still thinks that there are strawberries that are like 6 years old in there.
Well, you're gonna, at some point, you're gonna hear the story that matters. Like, you're gonna hear the story of the fridge that can scan a UPC code of the product that you put inside of it, like milk or whatever, or it's gonna scan, or like, do you go to Sam's Club or Costco? Which one are you, if you have to?
I wish Costco, but we only have a Sam's, so.
Okay, but Sam's Club is implementing AI in their checkouts. Did you see this? I don't know if yours got it, the big arch that scans your products.
I could tell you yet another personal story where I tried to steal a pumpkin at Sam's. So like,
you have a criminal record now?
Kind of. So I went to Sam's. I had a cart full of stuff. I scanned it all. The pumpkin that I picked out for around Halloween did not have a sticker. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Go back and, find a sticker, walk all the way across the store and then come back, check out, or just steal the $5 pumpkin. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to steal the $5 pumpkin. I'm buying enough expensive stuff that I felt justified.
We've all done that.
And just taking it, like, oh, it must be free. Essentially what I did.
I walked out with a Switch 2 the other day. I was like, I paid enough.
Impressive, but no. So I was walking out of the big arches, And Nathan, like, I was having guests over, so there were like, $40-$50 steaks. There were some big ticket items. There was, a giant roll of paper towels. It was, it was madness over there. So like, so many things that I could have stolen. There was even like a rotisserie chicken on the bottom that I did scan, and it was like.
By the way, the rotisserie chicken at Sam's Club is the best deal of chicken. Can I say that?
It is delicious.
You get a lot of chicken for $5.
But yeah, so like I have so many items that I could have stolen that are probably much more stolen, and and instead it's like the seasonal item that's kind of off to the side. Nathan, I swear to you, I walk through those arches. I walk to the, I walk in. Normally they tell me just go on. They stop me. They look at my receipt and they look for the pumpkin, and they're like, I don't see the pumpkin on your receipt. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't scan. And the lady looked at me like I was just completely stupid. She was just like, oh, well, then you obviously needed to call someone to come help you. I'm like, oh yeah, that probably would have been the smart thing. Anyways, my point is, they picked the exact item that I did not scan out of all the higher cost, all the higher things.
Yes.
And that is because AI picked out that I did not have a pumpkin on my receipt, and it knew exactly what to do. I was impressed and scared at the same time.
But here's the thing, though. That's how you stop shoplifting. You don't go after the steaks. You go after the small things. Because if you can get, that's an old thing that people forget, that if you can't get the small things right, you can't get the big things right. And so I'll say this.
I was impressed, yeah.
But going back to the fridge, once the fridge can get that scanning technology, like, again, you can scan milk or whatever, and it catalogs and says your milk's going to go bad in 2 days, or with these ingredients, you can make this pie or whatever. People are going to see that and say, that makes way more sense than shooting me an advertisement. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna click when AI finally gets there. When it finally becomes not scary and Skynet. When it becomes like, yeah.
It's what they're going for, and AI, of course, is a trend, like we said. But I do think that Apple launched their giant research project with the Apple Health Fitness app thing, where they were going to be able to test for heart disease with a number of different things, and they announced that back a couple months ago during Apple's whole keynote. But it's like, that's where AI is going to start to really shine. I hope is that it takes these tons of data points that we're all freely giving tech companies at this point, and it starts to connect the dots and hopefully make people's lives better. And that's, I think, what CES is going to start showing, is that you're going to have all these data points in your smart home, in your in your car, in your wearables, and AI is going to start connecting them and making your life better. And hey, I hope to see that at CES.
I think it's going to happen. We just gotta get away from. We gotta let the dust settle a little bit. And when the nonsense comes, like, oh, AI is going to put advertising on my TV. Yeah, it's going to do that too. But it's going to make your life better in certain ways. Of course it is. And I think medical is the way to go. But I'll say this: we talked about the culling of AIs. I think if you ask me what the first big casualty is going to be, it's going to be Apple. I don't think they're built for this. I think like they've already sort of given up. Like, you saw that they're going to use Gemini. Your beloved Gemini. Yeah. Your beloved Gemini is going to be used in Siri, like, and stuff like that. Like, they're just giving up. Like,
there are rumors that Apple's heading for a big shakeup. So we'll see. We'll see.
I think this might be the last year of Tim Cook, by the way.
Yeah. Good old Tim Apple is, in a couple of the,
it's funny.
And a couple of the, the old guard are actually heading for the door. So, yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah, we could talk about that some other time. I have thoughts on Apple, but no, I agree with you. And as soon as AI saves a life, or it finds your pet, or something, then that's what AI needs to do. And I think, forgive me for saying this, but until then, CES right now looks boring. And I don't mean boring like I'm falling asleep. It just, don't look for that
predictable
level of, exactly. And that might be, or iterative, or iterative. And I'm okay with that too. It just means that I don't really need to be there right now. So,
but we're still going to cover it a little bit. I'm sure you'll have plenty of articles and plenty of plenty of input after the fact. But Nathan, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And nice. we're going to call this a recording. I apologize for it taking so long to get you on the show. Life has been life, but I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on. And of course, everyone out there for sharing Calcopia once again on its soft launch.
Well, I got to say that we're recording this just a few days before Christmas. That means that if you're listening to this, you have a Christmas present to unwrap, a new website,
there you go,
and a new podcast to listen to, a new thing. But
for everyone that can see it there in the top right, you have, or in the top, you have your podcast, and you have your wonderful podcast. This one, including the many movies out there that. Spaceball 2 is in production. I'm guessing that's why you have Spaceball 1, kind of on the podcast. So. Yep. So there you go. So everyone out there, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. ComputerAmerica.com for links to everything that we talked about here today. If you want to go back and reminisce or find out more or just prove that we were talking out our butts, then hey, ComputerAmerica.com. You can go check it out. Nathan, thank you again so much. Everyone, once again, Calcopia. You can go check that out, calcopia.com. And until next time, have a great Christmas. This will be the last recording, I think, before the holidays. We're taking a week off. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. And hey, catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.